Hello from Jonathan and from me. Welcome to a new week on Anglia Tonight.
First, it was a moment they'd waited months for, reunited with their families after an arduous tour doing one of the most dangerous jobs in Afghanistan. Almost 100 men and women from 3 Engineer Regiment have returned from a 6-month spell defusing explosive devices in Helmand Province. Well, this afternoon they arrived back at Carver Barracks in Wimbish near Saffron Walden. Our correspondent Emma Baker was there when they arrived. Emma, I gather they must have been absolutely delighted to be back.
Yes, indeed, Jonathan. For the 95 or so men and women arriving back here today, the last 6 months really have been some of the busiest of their career. These guys here, 5/8 Squadron, have been working at the forefront of the war in Afghanistan in the notoriously dangerous area of the Helmand Province. Now, their job has been to dispose of the improvised explosive devices, or IEDs. And the last 6 months in Helmand alone, there have been reports of around 1,400 of these IEDs, which shows you just how busy they've been, but also just how dangerous work they've had to undertake to make sure that ground is safe for civilians and also fellow soldiers. Well, of course, these guys were absolutely delighted to be back here today, back with friends and family. Now they had a bit of time to reflect on the difficult times behind them and look forward to some relaxation ahead.
It's been a long and anxious 6 months, but the end was in sight as families at the Carver Barracks finally prepared for their loved ones' return.
Hey, your son!
And it was worth the wait. Some had their hands full from the moment they got off the coach.
It's absolutely excellent. Just to see the kids and all that, it's absolutely fantastic.
Well, chuffed to be back.
Yeah.
Because I'm just happy to be seeing both of them. I only left like 3.5 months ago, but it seemed like a year.
Tired, and I'm going to go have a drink in a minute, and then she'll be driving home.
Oh, am I?
For these servicemen and women, the last 6 months have been some of the busiest of their careers, undertaking dangerous work in difficult conditions.
It is very dangerous work, but the guys are exceptionally well trained to do it, and they are very professional. We draw some of the finest bomb disposal experts from the world who serve in the British Army, and we're more than up to the challenge that we face out there.
As bomb disposal experts, 5/8 Field Squadron has been stationed in Helmand Province in southern Afghanistan. Their job to find and dispose of the growing number of improvised explosive devices, or IEDs. 5 members of the squadron were seriously injured during the tour, but fortunately none were killed. Others have not been so lucky. 221 British servicemen and women have now lost their lives in Afghanistan since operations begun in 2001. It's caused growing political debate, but these soldiers say they haven't let that worry them.
We've got great leadership, and the guys have just been focused on the job in hand. They've had the equipment that they've needed to do the job that they've needed to do, so no problem.
For now, it's off to unwind and catch up with loved ones. On Friday, they'll begin 4 weeks of well-earned leave.
Lots of happy faces there, Emma. How did they seem to you, and what have they got lined up for the next few days?
Well, Becky, you can see from those pictures there, really, these men and women really are absolutely exhausted, both physically, mentally and emotionally. The last 6 months really has made them work at a very high level of intensity for over long periods of time and under constant threat from the enemy, the Taliban. Now they're back, they have a period of decompression, which is really where an army term for a chance to wind down, a chance to reflect on what's happened to them and a chance just to talk about their experiences. After that, on Thursday, they have a medal parade. Then on Friday, they're off for 4 weeks of leave. And then they're back here for more work in November.
Emma, thank you very much indeed for all of that. Well, next tonight, a tourist from Milton Keynes who was trapped in Peru for over 2 years is finally back on British soil. Simon Burke was sent to jail after his travelling companion was found carrying drugs, but he was later cleared on appeal.
With that ordeal behind him, he's now back at home with his family. Neil Bradford reports.
South American Airline.
Simon Burke is at last enjoying a taste of home after more than 2 years stranded in a foreign land. Simple pleasures like fish and chips are among the things he's missed the most.
It's absolutely amazing. Just finally waking up this morning in my own bed. I'm just so happy. It's great to get up this morning and finally be home after 2 years, 9 months of being away.
Simon arrived home in Milton Keynes last night, almost 3 years after travelling to Peru for what was meant to be a 10-day holiday. On his return home in January 2007, his travelling companion was found with 10 kilos of cocaine in her suitcase. He was found guilty by association and spent 10 months in a Peruvian jail.
It was overcrowded, smelly, people taking drugs, arguing, fighting, trying to steal money, and all of this was a general sort of madness you had to try and deal with every day.
Despite being exonerated, Simon was unable to leave the country until the legal process was complete.
If I tried to leave the airport, because I had a restriction order on me to leave the country, I'd have been stopped and taken back to wherever and quite likely been sent back to jail.
Simon now has mixed feelings about Peru, a country whose justice system treated him so badly, but whose people welcomed him so warmly.
There's two very different sides to it. The legal side, which is something just unbelievable and do not want to get involved in. And then some of the people, in particular Marilia, who was the person I stayed with for almost 2 years now, who took someone she didn't know, didn't speak the same language, and took me in and helped me out immensely. It's just completely unbelievable.
For his family, the news of his return is still sinking in.
Over the moon?
Yeah, obviously we're over the moon, yeah. It's been a long time coming.
It's still unbelievable, actually. He is there, yes, he is, but yes, it is still sort of surreal.
The Burke family say they have no plans for a big celebration yet. They just want to make up for lost time. Neil Bradford, Anglia News, Milton Keynes.
Now, they claimed it spoilt the view and stopped them getting access to the river. Now they reckon it could even be putting lives at risk.
Campaigners fighting against a controversial quayside fence staged a fresh demonstration this morning. It came after emergency services had to cut a hole in the 2-metre-high fence at Mistley Quay in Essex to rescue the crew of a yacht. Tom Barton has more.
The Harwich lifeboat speeds to help sailors left stranded after their boat capsized in the Store estuary near Manningtree on Saturday. Several of the victims are cold and visibly shaken. The nearest place for the lifeboat crew to land, though, was Mistley Quay, a quay which has been fenced off, the landowners say, for health and safety reasons. For the lifeboat to come to shore, the Coast Guard, helped by locals, was forced to remove one of the fencing panels, giving the crew access to the quay. This morning, protesters who've been campaigning against the fence since it was put up a year ago gathered to hand a letter in to the landowners. Among them, one of the sailors who was rescued by the RNLI.
We were very fortunate to come out of it with no serious problems, but it could have been a serious problem. One, if we'd been in the water longer. Two, if we'd been unable to land where we did at the time. And it does sort of highlight the importance of the access at Mistley Quay, which, as I say, is one of the few access points on this river.
The coxswain of the Harwich lifeboat told me there could have been problems if the Coast Guard hadn't managed to remove part of the fence.
The impact for us would have meant we would have had to look for an alternative landing site, probably Parkston Quay, 6 miles further downriver.
And that would have obviously added time to the rescue operation. Would it have potentially put people's lives at risk?
On this occasion, no, but who can say what the next incident will be? Ideally, the nearest landing point has to be the best one. So any saving of time is a good thing.
Local campaigners have opposed the fence since it was put up in September last year. They say it's unsightly and stops people from using the quay in a way it has been for decades. And Saturday's events, they say, just highlight the issue. We've spoken to TW Logistics today. They're the company which owns Mistley Quay. They didn't want to give us an interview on camera, but they did release a statement in which they said that they are liaising with the appropriate authorities to establish the facts of what happened.
And it must come down to maintain the access.
The company has, in the past, insisted it built the fence after taking health and safety advice. It's ironic that those exact reasons are now being used by their opponents to say the fence should go. Tom Barton, Anglia News at Mistley Quay in Essex.